Everyone, we're doing something a little bit different today. I'm Mark Attard. I'm the outside coordinator for Passive House Rocky Mountain. And I wanted to take the opportunity today to introduce Yannick. I've known Yannick for about, I think, going on about 15 years, and we've done some work together with various companies that I've been involved with. And I'm proud to name her as one of my friends, and I think she's was an excellent choice to be the first executive director of the CGBG, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say today. So, Yannick, take it away.
Thanks, Mark. Lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here. And, I hesitated in terms of what should I present today. I am really new in my role as the executive director of the Colorado Green Building Guild. I am learning so much. And so I'm going to share a little bit of what I've learned. And I hope this will be a prompt for you to reach out and teach me some more things. And because I believe that we're co-creating this journey. I also just want to, tip my hat to Johnny, who is on the call today, who might come to my rescue and answering questions because he has more experience than I do. And then I see Robin, who may also be tapped, although she wasn't given any warning, unlike Johnny. So I'll get us started. What I've prepared for you today is just a little bit of where CGBG has been, where it is now, and where we're going. And you may ask, well, why is that relevant to me over here in Passive House Rocky Mountain? And I think that I want to share this with you because I think it's a learning opportunity for all of us, kind of a chance to get to know another organization, a chance to understand how another nonprofit operates from the inside. And also maybe, a chance to further affirm how the Colorado Green Building Guild and Passive House are aligned. There is not a strict overlap between what we do, obviously, but I think we think of Passive House Network as kind of a sister organization, and we promote your events, you promote our events, etc. And so I'm hoping that this is kind of the opportunity to spark kind of some new ideas that we can cultivate together. And so I'd like to start with, what is it that people know about the Colorado Green Building Guilds? And I'm looking a little bit into the past. And so I'd love to hear from a couple people, like, really quickly. When did you first connect with the Colorado Green Building Guild? One or two people want to just jump in and answer the question briefly.
And I think I connected with it when it was the Boulder Green Building Guild through Ron Flax.
Cool. You're by giving me that answer, Tyler, you're actually jumping ahead. Which is, what was its original name? Anybody else want to tell us how they first connected with the Colorado Green Building Guild or the Boulder Green Building Guild?
I would say similar to Tyler. When I first connected, it was Boulder Green Building Guild in the early 2000s, and there was a group trying to establish a Fort Collins Green Building Guild from Boulder at that time. And it kind of got off the ground a little bit, but USGBC was really the happening thing in Fort Collins at that time. And so most of the energy we had sort of ended up channeling into USGBC. And so Boulder Green Building Guild kind of withdrew and stayed in Boulder until, 5-10 years ago when I reconnected, and it was Colorado Green Building Guild. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I found out about it. I got an invite, and it's just a few months ago, and have attended a couple of the meetings and try to attend them when I can. And so I'm a newbie.
Well, you and me both, Paul. So lots to learn.
I'll be here, Paul. Today's my first day. I just moved to Denver, so said I'll jump in.
fantastic. Welcome. Hopefully, both of these organizations are a place you can call home.
Thank you.
How I'd like one person, and maybe not Johnny. I'd like one person to give a stab at describing the mission of the Colorado Green Building Guild. I see Todd smiling back at me. Todd, you used to be on the board. You're muted, I'm afraid.
And funny enough, I can't remember to save my life anything about the mission, but I was on the board for about 5 years. But it was probably 7 years ago that I left the board, so it's been a while.
Okay. All right, so we're a little fuzzy on the mission at this point. Well, we'll answer. Well, obviously, I intend on answering all of these questions as we go through my presentation. But just testing where we are, where things land right now. Did you know that CGBG is made up of 2 entities? Raise your hand if you knew that. Okay, so people who've been closely, intimately involved in the organization. Johnny, Robin, Todd are aware of that. Others, I'm not seeing any other hands. We'll cover that as well. And last question of the quiz, can you say the name?
Can you say the acronym too? That's the
CGBG?
Yes, specifically the acronym. Our shortcut, our daily tongue twister.
How many people have said CBGB?
Many.
More than you
So
know.
many, so many. CGBG.
Right. Well, let's get started. Let's get really into the detail of things. So I want us to just spend a little bit of time on what happened then, what's happened in the past. So if we look at the origins of the Colorado Green Building Guild, it was founded in 2004, and that is the first entity of the organization. And then in 2006, the foundation entity was founded. And so those 2 entities really, we'll go into detail a little bit further here, but those 2 entities really work together. And the guild is our trade association entity. It's a 501c6 if you want to know the details. And the foundation is the charitable and education arm of the organization, and that's a 501c3. The key difference between these 2 from an operational perspective is that one allows for charitable donations, the 501c3, the foundation, whereas the other does not. And that becomes critical when we talk later about what it is that CGBG does. I went and visited the Wayback Machine and pulled up the first Boulder Green Building Guild website for you, because I just thought that would be fun and delicious. And then I went and pulled up the one from 2013. And so that is approximately when the Boulder Green Building Guild became the Colorado Green Building Guild. I found it really interesting as I was kind of talking to people about past activities of the guild and also just kind of looking through some old documents and the websites. We can find that a lot of the programming is something that we're familiar with today. Networking and collaboration, brown bag lunches, making resources available to people about green building, about training, actually offering educational and training programs. And lobbying is the way it was labeled back in 2013, although today we would probably refer to those activities as policy and advocacy. So that's what the Green Building Guild looked like in its original format in its first few years. Here I have some language that was the mission. I don't invite you to read that many words. But what stands out to me is that from 2007 all the way to 2002 and to today, when you read those mission statements or those texts articulating the mission of the organization, there's some constants, there's some key concepts that are really present throughout. The first one is that we are looking to build vibrant communities, and that's our own communities, building professionals, but also all the communities that we serve, and particularly, homeowner communities. And so it has been integral to the vision of the organization to be a community organization and to help support those within and those outside. Emphasis is made on the use of efficient resources, or I'm sorry, on the efficient use of resources, building healthy environments, and developing sustainable practices. So you might think of those three last points are how we are building these vibrant communities. And again, these have been constant throughout. And I want to tell you that these traits or these values are doing well. They are strong in today's incarnation of the Colorado Green Building Guild. And to me, it makes me feel really excited to know that there's an organization that has held steady in its vision for the last 20 years. What it may have looked like on the ground has evolved over the last 20 years. But the fundamental of why people came together remains and holds us strong. If we look at, maybe financial data or some other like membership data or things like that, we see that the Boulder Green Building Guild, then the Colorado Green Building Guild, was clearly a grassroots movement. It started small, it grew. That is reflected in the involvement of a large number of people, and then maybe, the group shrank a little and it wasn't quite as active for a few years, and then it grew again, and then it shrank again. And now here we are in the after Marshall Fire period, and things have been growing and holding steady. And so we are at this tipping point where we are trying to ensure that we don't contract once again, but rather stay the course and continue to thrive. I've worked in a lot of nonprofits or participated in a lot of nonprofits. This is incredibly common, right? Where there's a ton of energy at the beginning, and then we lose a little bit of momentum because people have given everything they can give. And it takes a little while for somebody else to step up to the plate and again give it its energy. Part of the Guild's thinking at the moment is, how do we make ourselves more, not just the building practices, but ourselves more sustainable for the long term, and so that we smooth out some of these ups and downs. And so now I'd like to transition into talking more about what we do today, what the Guild looks like today. And simply, I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on this notion of foundation versus Guild. To the outside world, I think we will most likely continue to be known as the Guild. Think of this as most organizations that that might be for profit, but then have a charitable arm where they collect funds for a specific cause, or they champion certain individual projects and things like that. And in order to do that, they create a foundation where they earmark some of their funds to serve that cause. Our setup is not that different from that, in the sense that we have the Guild where the Guild entity, I should say, where we really have all of these activities for professionals. That's where our happy hours happen and our networking events. That's where we do a lot of the educational events for the building professionals. And it's where we have the freedom of doing advocacy and policy work, which is not something that's afforded to the foundation. The foundation, on the other hand, is very much centered around the public good, right? And so that is where our scholarships come from. That is where all of the green home tour activity happens, etc. For the outside world, it's mostly a non-interesting distinction. For us, it's critical that we keep these two entities separate. As I mentioned earlier, the 501c3 can receive tax-deductible donations, whereas the 501c6 cannot. And in the 501c6, we have certain activities such as policy and advocacy that are not allowable in the 501c3. But we feel like having these two entities that work side by side and together, it allows them to share resources such as myself, such as our board, and it allows us to have a broader impact. We really want to grow our scholarship program, for example, and it is wonderful to be able to invite people to donate to that scholarship program in a tax-deductible manner. So that's the bigger detail on what's going on with the two entities. That is why certain communication you might see from us talks about tax-deductible and others don't. Then I'd like to touch just a little bit about our programming and show off how much we try to do and offer to our community. And so I think just looking at the annual events, we host a Green Home Tour every year. That's kind of our biggest fundraiser of sorts. That is one of the areas that funnels the most funds into the organization. We then have an annual meeting where we award CGBG awards. And by the way, nominations are open. We'd love to hear who you think has been really championing green building in the community this year. We do a member appreciation barbecue every year because without our members, we do not exist. And of course, this upcoming series of holiday parties that are taking place in December. On a quarterly basis, we have our scholarship cycle. We award funds to those who are seeking advanced building science training. And so I really invite you to visit our website and look at what's available. Our goal here is not to offer basic training in building, but rather encourage people to explore what is available beyond that entry-level training. And we offer scholarships for a lot of different programs. And if there was a program you really wanted to pursue that's not listed there, please reach out and find out if we might award you a scholarship for that as well. On a monthly basis, and I think of these as really a lot of the things that serve our professional community the most are happy hours, hard hat tours, and educational events. They are open to everyone, but the level of nerdiness is pretty high at most of these events, including the happy hours. It's not uncommon to, see a vivid building science conversation happening with somebody holding a beer. And then kind of ongoing and maybe just a little bit in the background in terms of how much we give it visibility is our policy and advocacy work and just the resources that we make available on our website. And, these are things that we are continuously updating and changing and evolving, but those are always there. They're kind of perennial offerings for anyone who might want to start learning about more sustainable building practices. Then I would like to highlight our fantastic board. They are the governance of the organization. They are the ones that set the strategic direction of the organization and help shape what our offerings look like. And right now we have 11 board members, and very exceptionally, we have 3 co-presidents. This is we'll call it a stopgap measure to continue bolstering the organization at a time where everybody felt that a single individual taking on that role would be a lot to carry. We expect to return to a single president in 2026. I love working with this team, and I am particularly impressed with the diversity of thought that comes from them. We have architects, we have builders, we have material suppliers, we have consultants. And I think having that diversity that kind of represents a lot of the different parts of building professionals really makes them truly thoughtful in what we create and what we put out in terms of our programming. And then I want to talk to you about management, which truly are when you, in nonprofit terms, that governance and management are often two terms that we compare and contrast. The management is really the team, right, that rolls up their sleeves and makes the programming happen. And, you get one executive director as of late July. That would be me. And our board members, once again, must be mentioned. We have what's called a working board. Every single one of our board members not only helps with the governance of the organization, but they are boots on the ground that really help every single event come to life. They serve on 5 committees, and on those committees, we also have volunteers and partners and other people who contribute to the vitality of the Colorado Green Building Guild. And then I wanted to give you just a little bit of background on me, since I'm kind of the newbie in the scene. My very first contact with CGBG was actually in 2012. And I believe Todd Collins and Mark Attard and Mariana Pickering all had something to do with this initial contact. In the sense that I was doing a remodel in my house at the time, and I was looking to do better in our house. I was looking to better understand what the options were at my small project scale. And I was in contact with these individuals as well as my general contractor, and I think they reached a tipping point in terms of how many questions I was asking, and recommended that perhaps I should sign up for an Intro to Passive House, a training that was co-hosted by CREZ and CGBG and Golden at the time. Aside from that, my contact with the organization has been pretty peripheral, and I haven't come back to it until this year. In terms of a professional background, I have a business degree, and I've done 20 years in operational excellence, where I coach teams and I work on strategy, systems, and processes. I, have both consulted on that front and also done it in my own organization, as I owned a branding agency for 5 years from 2018 to 2023. I've also been a board member to local nonprofits for several decades now. And the last thing I want to share with you is I'm been connected to Colorado my whole life, although I have lived and traveled abroad extensively for the first couple of decades. The last thing I want to share about CGBG as it is now is our funding sources. We rely, beyond all the volunteer work that is done by board members and friends of the organization, the way we are able to put on all of our programming is by relying on funds that people provide to us. And that comes from business, individual, and student membership, sponsorships, both from annual sponsors and Green Home Tour sponsors, event fees, primarily the Green Home Tour, and then donations. And donations are an area we're developing. It is not currently hugely developed. So now then, what's next? I have a quick vision to share with you guys. And this is very, very much a work in progress. This is an ongoing dialogue with the board, and it's going to be continuously shaped and molded. And so you will probably see maybe some language that's similar to this, but also very different from this as we continue our work in the next few years. We feel like the core of what we're doing at CGBG is unlocking what's next and opening up opportunities in the built environment. We have these two pieces here because what I'm trying to articulate is unlocking what's next is this idea that we blow open the world of possibilities. We create awareness around all the different kinds of sustainable building, high performance building, building science, etc. It is really a mission of broadening everyone's horizons, including our own, in terms of what's possible and what we might reach for. And then opening up opportunities is, we'll say, in contrast, one that is very tangible and very immediate, in the sense that we believe that our mission is to bring training to people, to bring knowledge to people, to bring actionable information so that people can start building in more sustainable ways today. not tomorrow, not 10 years from now, today. And so we've been messing around with what are our core values? How do we know that we're what is it we're doing to fulfill this vision? And we've come up with some open words. So we've got open minds, which is that notion that we don't know everything. We want to broaden people's awareness, but we also want to broaden our own awareness. We want to stay humble and remember that what we think is sustainable now may not be seen as such in 5 years. We must remain open to new ideas and new practices as we move forward. Open doors is this idea that everyone should be able to walk through our doors and join an event. Everyone who wants to learn is welcome to join us. We do not have prejudice against people who don't know yet. We do not have prejudice against people who think something different and who are coming with curiosity and the interest in learning. Open knowledge is the idea that we share our information, all this hard-earned training that we have. Our goal is to share that knowledge. We are not gatekeeping it. We want it to be democratized. We want more people to become high-performance builders. We want more people to be excited by sustainability. We want more people to see how much it impacts our community to build in that way. Open books. That one's pretty easy. It's just reaffirming a principle of transparency. Anybody who's associated with our organization should have the opportunity to know where we're getting money from, how many volunteers are working with us, et cetera, to make sure that we really are this umbrella and this welcoming place for everyone. And the last one, open containers. And you may say, what are we talking about here? Well, we wanted to stay with the open theme. And I wanted to remind you that even though I'm very serious today, our group of people is actually quite entertaining and likes to have a good time. And so we wanted to make sure that that was one of the things that was just baked into the way we think about our organization, which is we want to keep things fun, lighthearted. Learning about sustainability does not have to be an exercise in dullness. And so when you join us at our events, you may see some people with some open containers. Closing us out on a few more things here. The key things we're trying to build based on this vision and based on these values is we want to serve the full building life cycle. And what I mean by that is we want to serve everyone from the homeowner to the real estate developer, to the architect, to the builder, to the person who does maintenance. Anyone who touches or is involved in a building project should be able to find knowledge and community at CGBG. We hope to expand our reach geographically. We're quite vibrant in Boulder, Fort Collins, Denver, and what we've been calling Mid-Rockies, so the Buena Vista Salida area. And we really hope that over time, we will be able to cultivate more chapters within Colorado and beyond. We're really set on enhancing our impact. And as I was saying earlier, like growing our scholarships, really supporting other organizations and what they're doing as well. All of this must happen while we stay true to our values, the one that I just told you about, our 5 opens. And we feel it's really important that we maintain mission alignment. And so this organization is committed to its mission and will not be swayed off by, say, other temptations. And I'm thinking in particular of, we all know nonprofit organizations struggle to find funding. And it is sometimes tempting to relinquish one's mission in order to secure funding from, say, a corporation. And we have collectively committed to not doing any of those things. We want to stay true to the mission. That is more important than funding the organization in the near term. Nonetheless, funding is important because we believe it will help secure the organization's longevity. Okay, well, that was a lot of words. what does that look like in reality? In reality, that looks like us trying to create something bigger and better. And one of the reasons I'm really excited to be here today is because I hope that you'll join us in shaping what happens next. Like, we cannot do this alone. We have some abstract ideas, or maybe even a couple tangible ideas of what we do next and how we make it happen. But in reality, we are here to serve our community. And that means that we are turning towards our community and asking you to engage with us and see how you might participate. And so it might be participating at an event, showing up and enjoying what other people are sharing in terms of knowledge. It might be referring us to a new sponsor or another organization that we might collaborate with. It might be serving on our board. It might be submitting a nomination for the annual awards. It might be amplifying our message, and many of you do that already and share our upcoming events, and we greatly appreciate that. It might be volunteering at the Green Home Tour or at a Hard Hat Tour, or maybe you have a special skill we haven't heard about and you'd like to help us make sure that our books are really robust. Or you might join as a member, or you might join as a sponsor, or you might share some feedback and tell us what you'd really like CGBG to be doing. Or you'd really love another organization to collaborate with, someone that, you know, a group that you can leverage to give your event more visibility. Or maybe all of these things feel really time consuming, but you'd rather give us a few bucks. Or there's something else that I absolutely have not thought of, but that you're itching to bring into reality, and you think that CGBG may be a good vessel for it. In which case, we welcome your energy, we welcome your enthusiasm, we look forward to connecting with you, and we invite you to reach out.